I know it's hard, I know it's complicated, but I promised you I've been waiting here forever. I had a much to say, but you're not here with me, no. We're invincible, like fire in the snow. Trust me when I say you are my beautiful world, and I'm feeling it all, we should make an effort. It's true you're so far away, and it's true you don't feel the same. But if you take my hand, we can try and go back, starting from scratch. I won't let you go, no I can't let you go, 'cause you're my gravity, and I will never leave. I won't let you go, no baby I will not, because I still believe. You're my gravity. You will never be what I expected. Different frequencies, that's why we ain't connected. You know I will make it through, I got nothing to lose but you. It's true you're so far away, and it's true I can feel the same. It's another day, you know you want me to stay, but I go my way. I won't let you go, no I can't let you go, 'cause you're my gravity, and I will never leave. I won't let you go, no baby I will not, because I still believe. You're my gravity. You're my gravity. You're calling out my name, but the echo numbs your pain. Sorry, but more than just a shadow, I'm more than just a man. You don't care how I feel, you don't know how I feel. No, you don't know how. I wash away the sorrow till my heart can beat again. You're my gravity. No, you're my gravity. I will let you go, the only thing that I know. You were my gravity, but now I have to leave. I will let you go. Why do you feel that I want? What do you think that I want? I know how to breathe into my gravity, into my gravity, into my gravity, into my gravity, into my gravity. I know it's hard, I know it's complicated, but I promised you I've been waiting here forever. I had a much to say, but you're not here with me, no. We're invincible, like fire in the snow. Trust me when I say you are my beautiful world, and I'm feeling it all, we should make an effort. It's true you're so far away, and it's true you don't feel the same. But if you take my hand, we can try and go back, starting from scratch. I won't let you go, no I can't let you go, 'cause you're my gravity, and I will never leave. I won't let you go, no baby I will not.
Warning. The Duracell Cup Series data file you have attempted to access is out of date. Uploading current file now.
It's a brand new car from stem to stern, and it's never been raced at these speeds.
The next gen car is opportunity.
Everything is different with the exception of like the seat, the steering wheel, and your helmet.
Unknown creates excitement.
Talking about my generation.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome here to NNSCRA TV's coverage of Pole Day qualifying in preparation for our 18th race of the season. Season 7 of the NNSCRA Duracell Next Gen Cup Series. We're here in Cicero, Illinois at the Chicago Motor Speedway, getting ready for its 7th appearance on the Duracell Next Gen Cup Series schedule. It should be a good weekend here as it is just the Cup drivers. We won't see the Duracell Ultralight Series drivers for another few weeks when we get to Suzuka. Well, there is the man of the hour, two-time winner James Qualls, back-to-back winner at Dover 2 weeks ago, and then last week followed it up with a win at Iowa. Comes the 5th different driver to have 2 victories on the season, joining Casey Hoyt, Matthew Rodriguez, Connor Breton, and Jessica Shelton. And Qualls is right now 4th in overall points, 34 points out, so keep an eye on him again this weekend. A lot of momentum in the corner of the 70 car. Gonna have 2 groups I should say, here in the first round of qualifying. Top 5 from each group will move on to run for the Fast 10. All 3 of our non-charter drivers are in the second round of qualifying, as we have 43 drivers attempting to qualify for 42 spots. Michael Norman in the 22, one of the first ones out there. Michael Norman, a 3-time winner last year, 28th in points coming to this one, though only one top 5. That is the biggest kind of jump out statistic for me in regards to this this Ford Mustang, especially based on how well this team did last year. They are struggling and need a good performance here tomorrow. Get themselves at least into the wild card conversation. They still mathematically have a shot to get up into the top 10 in points, but they need to find a consistent streak. Right now, Norman is top of the board at a 32.295, but only about 5 or 6 drivers have officially taken time at this point. Jesse Turner, great run for him last week at Iowa, brought it home in the top 5. I believe he was 3rd in the finishing results, if I recall correctly. And Jesse Turner, because of that, moved up in the point standings. Comes into this one currently situated in the 3rd position in points, gaining a spot last week. Been a strong season for him, been up in the top 10 pretty much most of the year, and just continuing on that consistent streak last week. Right now he's 2nd on the board at a 31.864, only to Michael Norman's 31.789, so Turner maybe looking to advance into the Fast 10, run for his first pole of the season. He's seen both of his teammates start on the pole this year, Reese Banks and Casey Hoyt. Levi McIntyre, last week, the latter portions of the top 10 in overall standings, 8th, 9th, and 10th, did not change. Levi went into that race 9th in overall points. He left 9th in overall points. He did open up a bit of a cushion between him and 10th in the standings, now about 14 points separation from there. As Levi, of course, has the victory to fall back on for a wild card spot, but starting to get a little bit congested around for the wild card spot with the single-time winners that are outside of the overall top 10 in points. So Levi McIntyre wants to make absolutely certain he's in the playoffs. Probably the best way right now, if he's not able to find a victory tomorrow, is at least have a decent points day and stay in the top 10 in the standings. There is Qualls. James Qualls, first time in his career that he's had a multi-win season. Last driver to go back-to-back was last year, Nick Gunther. James Qualls, the first driver to do it here in Season 7. And just continuing to make a case for himself to be a contender for the championship when the end of the regular season rolls around in terms of clinching a playoff spot. Mitchell Collins started pole last week at Iowa, right now 14th on the board for the 33. But the good starting track position last week led to a good finishing result and gained him 4 spots in the standings. He's 13th in overall points coming into this one, a total of 18 points behind 10th in overall standings. So Mitchell Collins and this 33 team starting to pick things up. Ryan Brommer did not have the performance he was looking for last week, as he ended up having to make an unscheduled pit stop after getting up into the wall. He was 2 laps down, gained one of those laps back the hard way with staying out, being ahead of the race leaders, catching a timely yellow, but he did finish off the lead lap still. Subsequently, he dropped 4 spots to 20th in points coming into this one. Cole Deaver, the S3 Motorsports entry, right now 5th on the board, would be the last driver to transfer into the Fast 10 out of this group. And as soon as I say that, he just got dropped to 6th. Not sure who topped him. You guys are going to be seeing that, obviously, on the top of your screen there. But Cole Deaver coming into this one in the 26th position in points, still searching for his first top 5 on the year. We have, I believe, 4 of our full-time chartered drivers that are yet to score a top 5. Correction, we've got 5 of them that have yet to score a top 5. Carson Gum, Cole Deaver, Benjamin Miles, Matt Haas, and Nick Gunther, all still looking for their first top 5 on the season. Everybody that has made a start here as a chartered car have at least scored a top 10. I think the only driver that hasn't scored a top 10 that has taken a green flag this season, this counts even the non-charter drivers, would be Jack Mitchell, and he ended up finishing 11th in his start back at Darlington. Dylan Young, one of our former winners. As a matter of fact, we have all 6 of our previous race winners qualifying for this race. 5 of them we know will make the show. 1 of them we will see in the upcoming second group. But Dylan Young, former winner here at this racetrack back in Season 1. Right now 9th on the board. This is, of course, a bit of a home track for Dylan Young. Dylan, currently a resident of Florida, but has roots in the Chicago area. So Chicagoland that we were at the end of the first half of the regular season at Chicago Motor Speedway here. Considered some home tracks for the driver out of Young Motorsports. Dylan Young coming into this race is right now seated in the the third wild card spot, as he is the highest in the point standings outside the top 10 with a victory. He will look to continue to solidify himself a spot in the playoffs tomorrow. Right now 9th on the board for Dylan Young. Caleb Fogler currently in the Fast 5 position in 4th with a 31.599. Caleb Fogler last week, kind of a bit of a non-factor, was mired in the mid-pack and wasn't really able to make his way up towards the front. He didn't gain in the point standings, but he didn't lose in the point standings. Was 14th going in, 14th coming out. Currently, if my math's correct, 19 points behind 10th in the standings cut line. Of course, right now a former winner as well, so he is just behind Dylan Young in the 4th seed as far as the wild cards are concerned. Cody Lamas last week, tough break for him, as he ended up getting involved in a wreck. Had quite a bit of damage Cody ended up dropping in the point standings as a result as well. 8 spots he plummeted to 30th in the standings coming into this week. His team had a lot of good momentum heading into the All-Star break. And ever since Charlotte, I don't know, that consistency has seemed to wane away, and they're looking to get back on track in this single car entry. Right now he is 20th on the speed charts. That's down near the bottom of all the drivers that have taken time here in this session. 31.829 for him. Just behind him, both on the track and on the speed charts, is RJ Bishop. 31.962 has him 21st. RJ Bishop, another driver that is really just trying to find his footing here this year. Was a 2-time winner last season, but this season has only scored 2 top 10s and 1 top 5 in the first 17 races. 38th in overall points for RJ Bishop. It's like his teammate Will Goss, former winner on the season, coming to pit road. Right now 15th on the speed charts for Will. Will Goss 8th in overall points coming into this one, so solidly still in the top 10. In contention for a playoff position. Benjamin Miles, he's been really good in qualifying the last couple of weeks, and looking like he's got a fast hot rod again here this week. Currently situated in the 3rd position at a 31.592. But for Benjamin Miles, the good qualifying efforts have not translated to good finishes. He qualified well at Dover, got caught up in a wreck, qualified pretty decently last week at Iowa. It did not translate to a super good finish for him. So he sits 36th in the point standings, and as we mentioned, he's one of those 5 drivers that has not yet scored a top 5 finish this year. But he's in position to move on to the Fast 5. There's his teammate, Reggie Fogelman, 19th right now, at a 31.826. Reggie last week lost a couple of spots in the standings, down to 15th in overall points. We talk about how he's been knocking on the door of moving up into the top 10 in the standings, been pretty consistent. Last week, a little bump in the road. He'll look to rebound this week at the Chicago Motor Speedway as Dylan Young heading into his pit stall there. A little more than 3.5 minutes remaining. Rob Evans is top of the board currently at a 31.518. Michael Norman in 2nd. Benjamin Miles 3rd. Caleb Vogler 4th. And Anthony McCrory, another driver that's kind of been picking it up in terms of his qualifying efforts lately, has his Mazda in the 5th position. As we look at Dylan Poteet. Dylan Poteet, former winner at Darlington this season, was up there inside of the top 5 in the standings, in the conversation maybe to get into the Rob Evans, Casey Hoyt battle for the points lead. Last week, though, Dylan Poteet, one of several drivers that did not get the benefit of a good qualifying effort, got mired mid-pack and never was able to make his way up to the front. Poteet lost 3 spots in the standings as consequence. He is 6th in overall points coming to this one, 48 points out of the points lead. Reese Banks making a pass on him right there. Reese is currently 16th on the speed charts. Had the pole a couple of weeks ago at Dover last week. Had a decent enough run to keep him in the 10th position in overall standings. So he will, starting tomorrow, still be in the playoffs, and he'll look to continue to stay there. Obviously the cut line driver, so he'd love to pass a couple of people and put some cushion between himself and that 10th position in points. We'll see if he can do so. Destin Bolin right now 13th on the board in the number 12. Ooh, little contact right there, little rubbing. Moving Reese Banks up out of the groove. Destin Bolin coming into this one 7th in points. He lost a spot in the standings last week, but still currently in a playoff spot via points. And Rob Evans has been knocked off of the top of the leaderboard. Austin LaPlante with a 31.393 is now the fastest driver in this session. Austin LaPlante has actually also been a driver that has picked it up in terms of qualifying. His finishes have been there, obviously. He's 5th in overall point standings with an average finish of about 17th in the first 17 races. But we ended up seeing him qualify well and run well a couple of weeks ago at Dover. And looks like he's going to be qualifying well again here at Chicago. Casey Hoyt just outside of the current Fast 5. He is 7th on the board at a 31.647. Two-time winner. Current points leader coming into this race, 13 points up over Rob Evans. Casey Hoyt looking behind and seeing another of the two-time winners in James Qualls right behind him. Qualls is right now 12th on the board. Levi McIntyre, 9th in overall standings right now in the 18th position. And there's Keith Batson. There's 3 drivers in particular coming into this race, all in different manufacturers that I think we have to keep an eye on in terms of the consistency they have shown ever since the All-Star race break. James Qualls is the Chevrolet driver, obviously. Keith Batson, I believe, is the Ford driver, and Ryan Butcher, I think, is the Toyota driver. Keith Batson coming off a runner-up finish at M&M's, had the top 5 run the following week at Dover. Last week, kind of in the same situation as a lot of others, as he was mired mid-pack and wasn't able to really get his way up to the front of the field, but he kept his positioning in the point standings. 11th in points coming to this one, 14 points out of the points lead, so it'll be interesting to watch him try to reel in Reeds Banks or Levi McIntyre and move into the top 10 in points tomorrow afternoon, as Rob Evans, who is still 2nd on the board right now, with a chance of advancing into the Fast 5, 2nd in points, 13 points out, coming to pit road as the session is coming to a close here. Looks like we had Anthony McCurry jump back up into the Fast 5. He's now up to 4th, and that in turn knocked Caleb Fogler down to 6th position. It's like Austin LaPlante, Rob Evans, Michael Norman, Anthony McCurry, and Benjamin Miles are going to be the Fast 5 to advance. And there you see the session has concluded. And the 5 I just named off are going to be running against the other Fast 5 from the second group for the pole position. There you see it. A couple of Northeast Motorsports Chevrolets going to be moving on to the next round, along with a Chevrolet out of Evans Motorsports, a Ford out of Michael Norman Motorsports, and a Mazda out of Fortnite Squad Racing. I believe this is the 2nd straight week Anthony McCurry advances into the Fast 5. And for Austin LaPlante, this is, I think, the 3rd time out of the last 4 weeks that he advances into the Fast 5. For Benjamin Miles, was this the 2nd time out of 3 races I think he advances into the Fast 5. So you're seeing these drivers, they're putting a lot of emphasis on qualifying and good starting track position, which could be key in tomorrow afternoon's race. Caleb Fogler just misses out by 7/1000ths of a second of advancing into the final round of qualifying. He'll be rolling off 11th tomorrow. Casey Hoyt would be 13th. Jesse Turner there in 15th. Then Cole Deaver and Dylan Young would get the final spots on the inside line, inside of the top 20. It's a pretty big name. It's going to be starting towards the rear of the field with not some great starting track position. Mitchell Collins coming off that good run last week. Levi McIntyre and Dylan Poteet are inside the top 10 in the point standings. Reggie Fogelman, who's trying to get into the top 10 in points. And a couple of drivers that are trying to get their mojo back in Cody Lamas and RJ Bishop. Could be interesting to see if track position will be as important as we think in tomorrow afternoon's race. But we still got to figure out the other 5 drivers that are going to join our current Fast 5 here from Group A, as Group B is going to be coming up here in just a moment. We'll also find out who is going to make the show, who will not, in terms of our non-charter drivers. So don't go anywhere. Right after this quick break, we'll be back with the continuation of qualifying here from the Chicago Motor Speedway. Thank you for tuning in to today's broadcast on NNSCRA TV. If you enjoyed your watching, it would help us out a lot if you'd hit that like button. Also, if you're not already, be sure to subscribe to become a part of the NNSCRA crew today. And if you're on your phone, be sure to click that bell to be notified whenever we have a broadcast here on NNSCRA TV. Once again, we thank you for your support, and we hope you continue to enjoy today's broadcast. Qualifying continues here from the Chicago Motor Speedway. as the Group B drivers will head out onto the racetrack here for their first round of qualifying, Fast 5. We'll move on to battle with the Fast 5 of the previous session for the pole. Already heading on out is going to be the 4 of Kyler Sustre. Sustre failed to qualify for the race at Dover. Fell down around the cut line, but had a good run last week at Iowa. Jumped up 3 spots to 25th in points, 14 points ahead of the cut line. Sustre coming into this week in the final wild card position, so still in a playoff spot based off of his checkered flag from Las Vegas. Kyler Sustre going to be one of 3 non-charter drivers vying for 2 available spots here in this week's field. Matthew Rodriguez, obviously going to be one of them, 2-time winner, Daytona 500 winner on the season. He's in the Bishop Family Racing entry this weekend as the number 80 out of Haas Racing, piloted by former winner at this racetrack, Roberto Crown Jr., full-time driver in the Duracell Ultra Light Series. We teased that he was going to be attempting to make a start here this week. We saw Roberto Crown Jr. Attempt to make a start earlier on this year as well. Failed to qualify, so he's still looking for his first Cup start of Season 7. All 3 of our non-charter drivers are in this session, so the fastest 2 on the speed charts will obviously be the ones that will lock themselves into the show. And the slowest will be the one that will be going home. And we've seen in the last couple of weeks what happens to drivers like Matthew Rodriguez and Kyler Sustre when they fail to qualify. They plummet in the point standings. As a matter of fact, Rodriguez comes into this race outside the top 30 in points by 10 points below that cut line. So his 2 victories at Daytona and Indianapolis currently do not count towards a playoff spot. You'll see tomorrow when we show you the playoff grid, Rodriguez's name is not featured on there. A couple of former champions going to be nose to tail here. We'll focus first on the 83 of Chris Dollerton. Dollerton with a great run last week at Iowa. Top 10 all night long. Was up in the top 5 for a cup of coffee. Gained 6 spots in the standings. He is 19th in overall points coming into this week. We've not really seen outside of that first season Chris Dollerton really have a super good year. First inaugural season, he picked up a victory at Fuel Motorsports Park. He eventually went on to win the championship. Outside of that, he had the Daytona 500 victory, but remember in that same year, he failed to qualify for the playoffs. So Chris Dollerton, keep an eye on him. He might be starting to turn things around here. And we've kind of seen a nice shift of momentum for the entire team of Blue Oval Automotive. All 3 of their cars finished in the top 11 last week at Iowa. Kyle Matthews right now 19th on the board, and not really sure how much more we can say about Kyle Matthews in this season. I mean, last year was a big sign of encouragement, 1 year removed from winning that championship with Caleb Fogler and Stephen Pollard III. He ended up picking up a victory at Coke Zero Super Speedway, locked himself into the playoffs. Usually we aren't expecting that to happen. We expect the kind of championship slump. And he was able to kind of break that curse last year, so we expected big things out of Kyle Matthews this season, but it has not come to fruition. Last week, another poor performance, dropped 3 spots in the standings. He is 40th in overall points coming into this race. Only 1 top 5 and 3 top 10s on the season. And you talk about a driver that we expected big things this season off of with his 4 wins last year, Nick Gunther. This has not been a year he wants to remember. His second full-time season in the Mazda over at Fortnite Squad Racing. And we talked about in Group A, he's one of 5 drivers that's still yet to score a top 5. He's only got 1 top 10 on the year. He is 41st in overall points, and last week was another poor showing. Right now he is 10th on the board is Nick Gunther, but man, for these two drivers right there, Matthews and Nick Gunther, I don't know if it's too little too late for them to be able to mount some kind of a comeback to get into the playoffs. Same can be said for this driver here, Nathan Ormond, a former winner here at the Chicago Motor Speedway, as a matter of fact. Right now, he's fourth on the board right now. But, yeah, Nathan Ormond, he comes into this race 42nd in points. So you had 40th, 41st, and 42nd all nose to tail right here. Nathan Ormond does have 2 top 5s on the season, but remember, he failed to qualify via owner points at Mid-Ohio. And he's got an average finishing position in the 16 starts he's made of about 29th. That is 29th out of 42 cars each week. That's not good. Just got knocked out of the Fast 5. Matt Haas, right now 10th on the board. The M&M's Toyota Camry. Matt Haas, another driver that has been polar opposites of last year to this year. Last season, got that victory during the playoffs at Chatham. Was up in the conversation most of the year for the regular season championship. And this season, no top 5s, 1 top 10, 35th in overall points. And we've seen good performances, obviously, out of Matthew Rodriguez with his victories at Daytona and Indianapolis. Benny Watson had a great run at Dover. He had a great run at Pocono, too, in the 2 races that he qualified into. So it's not necessarily like the organization is floundering. They just haven't been able to figure out how to get this 8-car consistent. Zachary Fitzwater, our winner from Mid-Ohio. We've seen him and Caleb Fogler continue to climb their way up through the point stands. Little bit of a slide last week as he dropped 2 spots to 17th in overall points, but he is right now in the 3rd wild card spot as things currently stand. 15th on the board right now, though, for the Foster's Chevrolet. It's like Matt McIntyre coming to pit road in the 21. Daniel Voyle is right now 13th on the board. Daniel coming into this one 33rd in points. Lost a spot in standings last week. Another driver that we kind of expected a lot of this season after being a 2-time winner last year. Zach Rogers had a great run last week. Qualified well, ran pretty well. Gained a spot in points up to 39th, but only gained 1 spot since he has been another driver that has struggled this season. Right now he is 12th on the board at a 31.736. The top of the board right now is this driver, Carson Gum. And the Chevrolet out of Fortnite Squad Racing. 31.483 for Carson. Carson was starting to climb his way up through the point standings. He jumped up, it was 8 or 9 spots after Dover. Last week, though, did not get the performance he was looking for at Iowa. Lost a spot. He's 22nd in points coming to this one. Still searching for his first top 5. He's the highest running driver in the point standings right now that has not scored a top 5 this year. Jose Mills, 11th on the board right now. That's where he finished last week at Iowa. The last of the Blue Oval Automotive cars up inside of the top 11 last week as Caleb Fogler and Chris Dollerton both scored top 10s. Jose Mills, though, with that finish just outside of the top 10, gained 2 spots in the standings, up to 18th in overall points coming into this weekend's race. Defending champion of the series, Charles Sanford, trying to get his way back up into the top 20 in the point standings, 27th in overall points coming into this weekend. Lost 3 spots last week at Iowa. 31.774 right now for the driver S3 Motorsports, 15th of 21 drivers that have taken time. Joshua Osborne had a strong car last week, maybe one of the strongest cars on the short run, and used some pit strategy to gain track position, as all 3 of the Joanna Atwood Motorsports cars finished inside of the top 5 last week. Osborne finished, I believe it was 2nd in a 1-2 finish. Right now, 6th on the board, trying to find a little bit more speed as he is 4 1,000ths off of Laura Chung, who currently holds the final transfer spot into the Fast 10. 5 minutes remaining here in this session as 2-time winner Connor Breton, currently 18th on the board. We saw him after his victory at Charlotte. He had a great run at M&M's, had a great run at Dover. Last week, though, did not get the performance he was looking for, as he was dealing with electrical issues. Finished multiple laps down and dropped 5 spots in the standings to 24th. He right now has about an 15-point gap between himself and 30th in the standings, but because he is inside the top 30, he currently sits in the number 1 wildcard position. Saw Matt McIntyre come to pit road moments ago for an adjustment. He's back out on the track, 10th on the board right now for him. Matt McIntyre gained a couple of spots in the standings last week, 31st in points coming into this one, continuing to try and have the trend be upward. And not looking good for the 2-time winner, Matthew Rodriguez. We already documented he comes into this one outside the top 30 in points, so he's out of a wild card position right now. And he is last on the board in terms of qualifying speed, which puts him behind both Roberto Crown Jr. and Kyler Sustre into the position of the driver that would be going home unless he's able to find a lap time that can beat Kyler Sustre's 31.674. Right now his fastest lap is a 32.027. So Matthew Rodriguez in danger of advancing into tomorrow afternoon's main event feature. Well, I talked about the fact that the 3 drivers in the respective manufacturers to watch were Qualls for Chevrolet, Batson for Ford, and Ryan Butcher's got to be the driver for Toyota. Some good qualifying speed here this week. 3rd on the board right now for him at a 31.574. And coming off great finishes at both Dover and last week at Iowa, Ryan Butcher is on the ascend as he gained 8 spots in the standings last week. He is 21st in points. Keep an eye on this Popeyes Toyota again tomorrow afternoon when the green flag drops. Jessica Shelton right now still in the top 30 in points, but only by 1 measly point. 2-time winner on the season with the Chicagoland win on fuel, the dominating performance late at M&M Superspeedway. Continuing to look for points and trying to find some speed here as well. Doesn't look like she's going to have a great qualifying effort or a good starting spot tomorrow, as right now she is 19th on the board at a 31.919, and she just got actually dropped down to 20th. Not sure who it was that advanced higher. Well, it would probably have been Kyle Matthews, who was 20th the previous lap and now just ran his fastest lap of the session up to 19th at a 31.898. Kyler Sustre 9th on the board right now, would be locked in the show. I'm trying to find that second entry out of the Haas Racing stables. Where is Roberto Crown Jr.? There he is. He's just now coming off of pit road. Looks like Roberto Crown Jr. in line to make his first start of the season. Roberto Crown Jr., remember, had the multiple win season back in season 5 in the 3-driver effort out of the 78 of Auto Junction Racing with Ryan Butcher, Diego Yepes, and himself. That team ended up winning the regular season championship as well and was in the Final Four to compete for the title that year. Came up short to the S3 Motorsports organization. Ryan Butcher, right now 5th on the board, has a shot maybe to run for the pole. We've already seen a go or go home non-charter driver win the pole position in the case of most recently Jack Mitchell at Darlington, and we also had Kyler Sustre start on a pole this season. With about 30 seconds left on the clock, Carson Gum currently at the top of the board. A couple of Texans 1-2 as Chris Dollerton currently sits in 2nd place. Zachary Fitzwater in 3rd, and then a couple of Toyotas, Ryan Butcher and Roberto Crown Jr. in 4th and 5th. Laura Chung, first car out by 8 1/1000ths in 6th. Everyone looking to beat a 31.617 held by Roberto Crown Jr. to advance into the Fast 5. It's going to happen right here as we have zeros on the clock, and they'll be ceasing to score lap times in just a few moments. Carson Gum, very fast right out of the gate. Jumped to the top of the leaderboard, and nobody was able to topple him. So he'll be advancing into the Fast Five, looking to get his first pole of the season. Chris Dollerton is a former pole sitter, so he'll be looking to become the first repeat pole sitter on the season, as we have somehow, some way, had 17 different drivers start from the inside of the front row in the first 17 races. That's your fastest here in qualifying, and your fifth fastest side by side right there. And Matthew Rodriguez is the only driver in the session to not break into the 31-second margin. So it looks like Rodriguez, the two-time winner, will fail to qualify for tomorrow's race, as session is complete. And we'll take a look at the running order from 6th place on down. The top 5 will be advancing to run for the pole here in just a few moments. Laura Chung is going to come up just short of advancing. She'll be starting in 12th tomorrow. Joshua Osborne and Quentin Moore, after their top 5s last week, they'll be up inside the top 20 in 14th and 16th. Kyler Sustre and Nathan Ormond will be in the completion of the top 20. Roberto Crown Jr. and Kyler Sustre will be the two non-charter drivers locking themselves into the field. Rodriguez, who was last in the session, will be the DNQ for the weekend. A lot of drivers going to be hoping that this is not a track position track. There's a lot of big names starting in the mid-pack, rear of the field. We'll have to see if maybe pit strategy comes into play tomorrow. We've had 6 previous events here at the Chicago Motor Speedway, so you would think we know what to expect, but based off of what we've seen the entirety of this season, I think you can expect the unexpected. But it's Carson Gum, Chris Dollerton, Zachary Fitzwater, Ryan Butcher, and Roberto Crown Jr. will be making his first start. They're all going to have a chance of starting from the pole position as they join the Fast Five from Group A. Those drivers will be pushed out onto the grid in preparation for the upcoming final round of qualifying, which comes up right after this commercial break. Don't go anywhere. Our coverage continues in just a moment. Thank you for tuning in to today's broadcast on NNSCRA TV. If you enjoyed your watching, it would help us out a lot if you'd hit that like button. Also, if you're not already, be sure to subscribe to become a part of the NNSCRA crew today. And if you're on your phone, be sure to click that bell to be notified whenever we have a broadcast here on NNSCRA TV. Once again, we thank you for your support, and we hope you continue to enjoy today's broadcast. All right, getting ready for our final round of qualifying here. 10 drivers looking to start tomorrow afternoon's race here from the Chicago Motor Speedway from the pole position. Mentioned about the fact that we've had 17 different pole sitters here in the first 17 races of the season. Maybe no more so has that streak been in jeopardy than here in this final round of qualifying, as we have 3 former pole sitters in the field for this one. Ryan Butcher, Chris Dollerton, and Michael Norman have all previously started from the inside of the front row this year. Second straight week that Anthony McCurry has advanced into the Fast 10 in the Celsius Live Fit Mazda. Last week when he advanced into the top 10, he I think started 9th or 10th position. Didn't really show a lot of speed in the final round of qualifying. We'll see if he can improve on that here. He's got clean racetrack, might be important. But only 5 minutes, which is now down to almost 3.5 minutes in this session to be able to do so. Michael Norman heading out onto the racetrack now. Michael Norman, 3rd fastest in the Group A drivers in round 1. Anthony McCurry, 4th fastest in Group A. Zachary Fitzwater, 3rd fastest in Group B. A couple of the Evans Motorsports cars advancing here into the second round of qualifying, as there is the 65 of Rob Evans. who was second fastest in Group A. Anthony has thrown down the gauntlet, 33.036, and I think he just improved on that. But Rob Evans just went to the top of the board at a 32.402. Roberto Crown Jr. locked into his first start of the season. He was fifth in Group B, was Roberto Crown Jr. Former winner here at this racetrack. I think we mentioned that earlier. Carson Gum, fastest in Group B. Out there on the track is right now, I think, well, Anthony did have the top of the board. I think Evans might have taken it back again. And Anthony drops down to third. And back up to second at a 32.043. Benjamin Miles right there. Miles was fifth fastest in Group A. Ryan Butcher, fourth fastest in Group B. Who's the fastest on the track right now? It's Evans, who just laid down a 31.509. That's a good lap time right there. That would have put him about third or fourth in Group A and would have put him second in Group B. That is a flyer of a lap time for the limited number of cars that we have out on the racetrack right now. Evans is yet to score a pole this season. He could become the 18th different pole sitter. Right now, he is head and shoulders above the rest of the competition. That's 4 tenths up, about 4.5 tenths up on Roberto Crown Jr., who sits second right now. And Roberto Crown Jr. almost had a shot right there. He is 3 1/1000ths off, 31.512 for Roberto Crown Jr. Let's follow this next lap and see if he can get 4 thousandths better to top Rob Evans. Got Austin LaPlante just up ahead of him. Is there an improvement here on the 80, or have the tires worn down too much? No improvement. He ran a 5.57. So Rob Evans may have captured this pole position here. Benjamin Miles right now in third at a 31.618. Carson Gum and Zachary Fitzwater currently the top 5. Does anybody have anything for that pole position currently held by Rob Evans? Improvement on the lap time for Benjamin Miles. Still third though, 31.589. Let's see if there's a pickup here for him. He needs about 8 100ths. Improves to a 5.57. But Rob Evans and Roberto Crown Jr. both just improved as well. Crown Jr. went to a 4.94 and Evans went to a 4.74. Both of them on the exact same lap improving, and it went from 3 1/1000ths to 2 100ths, the advantage Rob Evans over Roberto Crown Jr. Carson Gum just went up to third, dropping Miles down to fourth, and Michael Norman jumped up to fifth, but the red flag is out. I believe the session is over. The scoring has stopped, and Rob Evans is going to become the 18th different pole sitter on the season. He will have tremendous starting track position tomorrow, as he is still looking for his first career chartered victory in the Duracell Cup Series. Of course, people will remember he had a non-charter victory back in Season 4 at the Indianapolis Road Course. Well, there's your top 10 and the way they will start for tomorrow's event here from the Chicago Motor Speedway. 88 laps await these drivers tomorrow afternoon. It will be Rob Evans and Roberto Crown Jr. that will be the front row. Great starting track position for Roberto Crown Jr. in his first start on the season. Carson Gum and Benjamin Miles, a couple of Chevrolets will make up row number 2. Michael Norman and Anthony McCurry, row 3. Then Zachary Fitzwater, Ryan Butcher, Austin LaPlante, and Chris Dullerton are going to be your top 10 for tomorrow's event. Should be a good one here. 7th time we've been to the Chicago Motor Speedway, and we'll see what part it will play into a driver potentially getting themselves into a playoff position, as we're just about to the halfway point, the middle portion of this chase towards the chase for the championship. But thank you all for tuning into this qualifying session here from Chicago. If you enjoyed it, be sure to give this video a like, subscribe to part of the crew today, and we'll see you guys tomorrow afternoon, 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, for our 18th race of the 7th season of NNSCRA Duracell Next Gen Cup Series. Until then, I've been Seth Cole, and you've been watching another broadcast courtesy of NNSCRA TV, offline racing at its best.